For the final time today, MotoE is back in action. As a dramatic fourth round of the MotoE World Championship looks to wrap up in fine style, the question turns to who will take the championship lead into the spring break. With a new name checking off victories and early season forces now faltering, it's anyone's for the taking. So let's go racing once again in MotoE here in Mugello. Hello and welcome back to the magnificent Mugello circuit here in Tuscany in Italy. And for us in the MotoE class, it is time to do battle once again as we finally get to undertake race one after the delay and postponement from earlier today, after the unfortunate incident that Lukas Tulovic had at the end of that very first lap in race one earlier. And as you can see from the conditions, there are now just a couple of question marks in the form of some very dark clouds looming around and over this Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello. Hopefully though, as you can still see, the sun is shining through on the parts of the racetrack and the parts of this property that do matter. So hopefully those dark clouds won't materialise into any form of precipitation for us. So it's Jack Gorst here in the commentary box, and alongside me as ever, and for the final time today, it is Neil Morrison, of course. And down in pit lane and on the grid right now, we do have Fran Wild as well. And hopefully we will be chatting to a few riders down there to see exactly what is going on. Exactly what went on for Zacconi earlier was that, well, it was a bit of a disappointing race, it has to be said. On pole, but then dropping all the way to 6th in the end in that second race, race 2, but the first race of the day for us. So definitely Alizak not going to be happy with that, and particularly by the fact that he has said all weekend long he feels absolutely magnificent with the bike. So Neil, this one's going to be an interesting one, but I feel like at first we do have an update on Lukas Tulovic, which has been shared on the MotoE socials that you may well have seen, and I believe you've got that update for us there.
Yeah, it looks as though Lukas was diagnosed with neck and pulmonary contusions. Also had a concussion after initial cranial CT scan was negative for injuries. So hopefully Lukas will be okay. We're all thinking of him after that ugly crash at the start of race 1 earlier today. And hopefully we'll see Lukas back in his paddock very soon. So this is Eric Granado then, starting from 3rd on the grid. Qualified 4th, but he's been moved up 1 place with Lukas Tulovic not racing in this race 1. And great to see that some fans are still out there, quite a few fans actually, still out there in the grandstands and on the grass banks that surround this circuit. Another big race it is for Mattia Casadei. We'll be starting from 4th and the inside of the 2nd row. The Italian 2nd in race 2 earlier today. Can he make it a double podium in front of his own fans in this one?
Yeah, we've certainly been hoping so, and from the speed that he showed in that very first race, certainly will be hoping to. I believe we do have the pole sitter down with Fran. Alessandro Zacconi on the grid. Down to you, Fran.
Yes, indeed. So, Alessandro, bit of bad luck for you in race 1 after you'd had that incredible lead. I think it was over a second. Race 2, fighting for the podium, but not quite able to get it. What did you learn now that you're hoping to use in this, well, race 1 now?
Well, for sure we are fast when we are in the front, but with the long straight it's difficult to stay in the front. So I hope to have a more free track in the front to try to stay in the front group, and we will see. We try to enjoy.
So aiming for the whole shot. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, if he can get that whole shot, definitely will be better than what he had in the first race just earlier on, because of course the rather pesky Kevin Zanoni at the moment stormed to another brilliant start, coming from 5th on the grid to whole shot it and lead into turn 1. So yeah, another fantastic start from Kevin, and rode home to a fantastic victory once again, doubling up here in the last 2 races.
Yeah, it was a two-way fight for victory towards the end of race 2 earlier, with Zanoni obviously fighting with Casadei, And Zanoni just holding on for a second straight victory. He has to go into this race, I think, as a favourite to get a double victory, because he's looked so strong, so confident. Did not put a foot wrong at the end of the earlier race today. But no doubt there will be other riders keen to get in amongst that victory fight. Not least this rider here, Matteo Ferrari, finished 7th in race 1. Not so bad after he qualified in 8th. He started race 1 in 7th as well. And his fan club have been, well, many people strong right the way through the day, cheering on from the grandstands.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, Ferrari then breaks that run of 5 8th place finishes in a row. He'll certainly be happy to break that 8th place curse that he had on him for most of the season so far, but I mean, it was only one better, so he certainly won't be too happy with that either. Here's Alessio Finello, who ended that first race of the day down in 13th in the end after his best qualifying performance in MotoE. He'll definitely be a little bit disappointed with that, but another shot now after learning quite a lot. We can imagine he was involved in the early stages in that big battle from 3rd down to about 10th, so definitely some lessons to be learned for Alessio, and hopefully he can go a little bit better here in the second race. So then, momentarily we will be under starters orders here for the second race of the day in the MotoE World Championship. This, of course, the last race before we round out the first half of the season. Who will take victory here? Let's find out. So let's have a look at the grid then for the second race of the day here for the MotoE class. And once again, unfortunately, no Lukas Tulovic here. We send our well wishes to Lukas, of course, thinking about him, and hopefully a speedy recovery, and we'll see him back out in the remaining races of the championship. So Alessandro Zacconi, a second chance from his first ever pole position in the MotoE World Championship, and Spinelli certainly will be hoping for a little bit of a better performance after finishing 9th in that first race earlier, while he was up in 3rd and breaking away from the chasing pack as well with the eventual top 2 finishers. Oscar Gutierrez, he won't be too happy with that 10th place finish in race 1 either. So a second chance for Oscar, more valuable track time at a circuit that he hasn't been to in a long time. We do expect Oscar to go a little bit better here in the second race.
We certainly do, but he does have his work cut out coming through from the 5th row. The same can be said for Jordi Torres. At least Gutierrez managed to make a bit more progress than his compatriot Torres, who came home in 12th. This is a rider certainly to keep your eyes on, coming through from the back of the 3rd row. Andrea Mantovani has a good record here, gets the thumbs up from the person just next to him. Mantovani fought through in fine style to finish in 5th. Let's see what he can do. He was right in the midst of the podium fight earlier on.
Yeah, got a little bit of a 5th place love affair at the minute, has Mantovani. He's had 3 of them so far in 2024 and not been able to better it, so hopefully he'll be able to do that one this time out as he launches away from the 3rd row of the grid. Here's one rider that we definitely have to shout out from that first race performance. A fine 4th for Massimo Roccoli. A really strong performance. We saw him clanging elbows, banging bars on the way, on the run to the line with Eric Granado, and unfortunately just missing out on that podium place by 11 thousandths of a second.
It was a superb performance, the best we've seen of Massimo Roccoli so far in the MotoE World Championship. Could he be a podium contender once again? So much of it will depend on the start here. Is everything okay here with Kevin Zanoni? It looks as though he's a little nervous, a little confused with everything as the grid is being cleared. I mean, we are 30 seconds away from the race start, and it looks as though there is a little bit of commotion there with Kevin Zanoni, the race 1 winner.
Yeah, just one of the IRTA officials as well was conversing with the team and Kevin, so hopefully everything is all okay. They have left the grid, so they wouldn't do that unless everything was okay. Anyway, seems we are all good to go, so we're under starters orders for the final race of the day here in MotoE. Who will come out on top in this one? Lights on and lights out. Here we go for the second race start of the day, and once again it looks as though Zacconi's got a good launch, but I got to say, it looks as though Garzo has got the better of everyone, as this time around Kevin Zanoni will not be able to power from 5th to 1st, and Zacconi late on the brakes, sliding it backing it into San Donato. Garzo uses that as an opportunity to slide up the inside, and the number 4 does lead early on, but only for a brief moment, as once again Zacconi aggressive and dives up the inside through turns 2.
Yeah, Zacconi knows he needs to be aggressive off the line, and on the first lap here, that's where he lost the race. Essentially, earlier today, you can see Kevin Snoney is now underneath Cassidy for third into turn 4. It is all action.
Yeah, so let's take stock. Everyone out on the green, steady chaps. Need to be easy with those track limits. We saw some war. That's a move there from Mattia Casadei on race 1 winner, the person that he lost out to in that first race of the day as well. So Zanoni barged back to 4th, and it might go a little bit worse for him here through RB. Oh wow, stuck it in there, did Eric Granado, and certainly wasn't willing to give in with Zanoni, but in the end he had to, and that now allows Mantovani through into 5th as well. So strong start from Mantovani, up from 9th to 5th.
Yeah, nightmare first lap then from Kevin Snoney. He did one of the hard parts, which was get a great start, get through the first turn, but since then he has been well and truly beaten up by the 2 LCR bikes. Then Mantovani as well, a couple of moves coming thick and fast through Arrabbiata 1 and 2, and Spinelli, that is, who's also had a bit of a tough first lap. He's down in 8th. We can also see Roccoli hasn't managed to enjoy the good getaway that he had earlier today.
Yeah, definitely some work cut out then for the number 55, but for the number 61, Zacconi at the head of this pack, this is looking much more like what he did in that red flag race earlier today, where he had about half a second on the field. Oh, that was close between Ferrari and Roccoli. Coming down into the final corner, Buccini, but what a first lap from Zacconi. He said he needed to get the whole shot and be aggressive, and he's done exactly that, and going to lead across the line from Hector Garzo. Strong start for him as well, with Cassidy and Granado, the LCR duo, in hot pursuit.
Yeah, super first lap as well from Mantovani to come up from 9th on the grid into 5th place, or 6th I think it might be now, as Kevin Zanoni makes a play to get back into 5th. You can see Hector Garzo there having to be a little defensive from Casadei, who's closed right in on his rear tire. Casadei looks as though he'll be trying to get a move done to get through into 2nd place very soon. Zacconi 3/10 ahead he was as he crossed the line, and he's able to make up quite a bit of time through this infield section.
Yeah, look at that. That's a nice spicy championship, isn't it? If it were to stay like this, it probably won't, but 1 point would it be between Zanoni and Cassidy at the top of the standings. There's now the LCR duo look like they're about to go to work on Hector Garzo in front. We do ride on board now with Cassidy. We're going to drop down into Arrabbiata and begin the long climb up through Arrabbiata 1. Is he going to look up the inside? No, surely not through Arrabbiata 2. That would be a brave move indeed. But here at the top of the hill and downhill into Scarperia would be an opportunity, but not close enough this time round.
Yeah, not close enough. Cassidy, though, is all over the back of Hector Garzo. You can see Zacconi's already extended his lead by 0.3 of a second on this lap alone. It seems as though he would be a lot further ahead had it not been for the front straight, where he seems to just get reeled in by a couple of tenths by Garzo. But at the moment, it looks as though Zacconi is putting in a sufficient advantage into the rest to have a comfortable lead.
Yeah, definitely. It seems as though Garzo is kind of the plug in the bottle at the moment. You feel as though once at least one of the LCR duo get through on him, they will hopefully be able to close down Zacconi at the front and give us a race for the lead here, as we see. So, completing lap 2, it is Zacconi once again that leads over the line. Let's check what the lap time is this time around with the first flying lap, because it definitely is going to be a flyer, and it's a 55.6. That's a really strong lap there from Zacconi. That is, in fact, pretty close to the lap record that he did set. So, fantastic stuff then from Zacconi at the front.
Yeah, and Garzo had it dancing on the brakes down into San Donato. I wonder if he made the apex. It looks as though it was a little bit messy, but he's still come out just ahead of Mattia Casadei. Casadei looks as though he's being held up ever so slightly at the start of this third lap. Brilliant stuff, as you said, Jack, from Zacconi. That was just a 1/10 of a second off his pole position time that he set yesterday. He is doing a fine job, but you can see there, after the long 1.1 kilometre front straight, his lead has been trimmed by, what, 0.2 of a second?
So let's take some stock then. Let's give you a bit of an update on some of the riders that started further down the field. Oscar Gutierrez is still languishing down in 11th, not going the way that the number 99 would have wanted it to, and particularly not for Jordi Torres either. He's still down there in 12th and just picked off Alessio Finello on that last lap as well. So lots and lots of work to do still for those guys.
Yeah, and Kevin Zanoni isn't really able to make an impression on this fight for second at the moment. He's about 0.6 back of Eric Granado in 4th. 4th. It was half a second this time, a lap ago, so he is losing a little bit of time, is the Italian. You can see Andrea Mantovani hasn't been able to go forward either. He's been passed by Mikel Pons, who now sits in 6th, and Massimo Roccoli has gained a couple of positions. Spinelli way back in 10th. This is disastrous stuff for the championship contender.
Oh, Garzo was loose there. Oh wow, that was seriously loose on the exit of Corantayo. Sliding that V21L around this Mugello circuit is Garzo. You feel like it's only a matter of time until Casadei does pounce and barge his way through on the number 4 in front of him. But Garzo defending beautifully at the minute. Let's see what the slipstream effect is like as we are on board with the number 40, the reigning world champion of Casadei. Definitely a nice little slipstream, but he's pulled out of it early. Will he be able to hold off and get the job done down into San Donato, turn 1? He's on the wrong side, really. Garzo could be able to defend this. Casadei is going to force the issue and push him to the inside line, and he does sweep over the nose. Great move from Garzo, and actually, they've closed up big time on Zacconi at the front. They were all, those 3, 2 tenths quicker than Zacconi last time round.
Yeah, they were indeed personal best laps from both Casadei and from Garzo last time around. As you said, 2 tenths quicker than Zacconi up ahead. That lead has been trimmed once again, down to 4 tenths of a second. Another thing to keep in mind is, has Alessandro Zacconi maybe used up a bit too much of his tyres in the opening part of this race as he tried to break clear? Casadei visibly closer now to his compatriot as they come down in through Casanova Savelli.
I tell you what, Neil, it's a little bit dark out there, isn't it? The clouds have certainly descended on us here in Mugello. I'm just looking out the commentary box to see if there is anything as Mantovani puts a big move in on Mikel Pons to pinch back that 6th place. Looks as though Mantovani just hasn't quite got enough bite to hang on to the back of Kevin Zanoni up there in 5th, but doing a good job to fend off from Mikel Pons behind.
Hector Garza was a bit loose coming down into Scarperia there. I was hoping he wasn't going to tag the back of Casadei, but they managed to keep it wheels in line. It is pretty much as you were earlier on in this lap, 4 tenths of a second separating Zacconi and Casadei, but Casadei definitely has his hooks in here. He can see the number 61 closing in up ahead, and this is a fantastic marker. After another stretch down the front straight, you have to imagine that this trio fighting for second place will be even closer to the leader.
So there is Kevin Zanoni then, watching his championship lead slip away at the minute as it stands. But with Casadei, we thought he might close in on Zacconi. It looks as though this lap it's kind of been holding stations. Has Zacconi responded? We'll check the lap times as they do come across the stripe this time. He's done a 55.8, and once again Casadei in the 55.7. So he has responded a fraction, but look at this again, under pressure from Hector Garza down into turn 1, and it looks like, to be fair, turn 1 on the brakes is where Casadei's making a lot of time on Zacconi as he came into view there just on the wide shot. So really strong on the brakes is the reigning world champion.
Yeah, he really is. He always has been in this class ever since he started back in 2019. Is Kevin Zanoni just coming back into this a little bit in 5th position? He's still around 6 tenths off. He can't get close enough to really make a move, and that is because the pace is fairly fierce up front. You have to admire Alessandro Zacconi. He is holding his own at the moment. He has been in this position, of course, before MotoE, but just not for 3 long years. You can see now that Casadei, 4 tenths still coming through the first split, and Zacconi is doing really well to hold them off here.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job. As you do say, 3 long years since he stood on the top step of a MotoE World Championship podium. We're focusing on Mantovani coming through the second of the Arabiatas. Is he closing in on Kevin Zanoni ahead? On the last lap he wasn't, but perhaps on this lap he is. We'll have to keep a check on that one, because of course that would have big championship implications if that does change, as we see Eric Granado now with a track limits warning. So the 51 has got to be careful as well.
Yeah, the Brazilian needs to watch out on these last 2.5 laps. If he exceeds track limits one more time, he will be penalised. So Zacconi then still holding a half-second advantage. In fact, it's nearly 6 tenths of a second as he comes through the Beyond Eddie chicane on lap number 5 off 7. Casadei really needs to get a wriggle on. I'm getting the feeling that Eric Granado is starting to lose touch a little bit with both Casadei and Garzo in this podium fight. I don't think Kevin Zanoni is going to get into that fight either. And something's happened to Mikel Pons. He slipped down the order to 9th.
So then, let's see what Garzo can do this time. He was very close to overtaking Cassidy on the previous lap, and this time it looks like he's a little bit further ahead, but once again, on the wrong side of it for turn one. Will he try to turn it under through San Donato? It's a pretty long corner, or maybe he could get a run and dive up the inside into Luco just here, but I don't think he's going to be able to. No, not for now. Once again, check on the times. It was actually Zacconi, the fastest of the leading trio that last time around. So Zacconi, ice in the veins, doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, but there was so little in it. We're talking about difference of a hundredth or a couple of hundredths of a second between Zacconi and then the three pursuers just behind. You can see Cassidy is giving it absolutely everything as they run down here into Casanova Savelli. Garzo climbing all over the rear end of his machine. Kevin Zanoni there. He will be left to curse that untidy first lap, won't he, when he got pushed wide at Arrabbiata 1 and 2 by Eric Granado and by who else was it? Mantovani as well that pushed him back. He definitely has the speed of this podium fight, but he just can't get on a par with them.
Can I just add something that could get fairly interesting fairly soon? If you watch Zacconi into turn one, he's so wide and then picks it up so early and then disappears again out of the shot. Like you said a couple of laps ago, we saw his rear wheel in the shot. That could be a bit risky if he's not aware how close they are final time round there. So I think it might be interesting to see if he closes that door a bit more or has faith that he's just far enough ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point. Fran, definitely a different approach from the number 61 into that San Donato turn. The lead has come down in this lap, Jack. It's down to 0.3 of a second. Ooh. And Cassidy now looks visibly closer. Incredibly
good through Biondetti there, through the chicane. And look at that. That is definitely the closest he has been. He is within the slipstream range, that is for sure, as though Alizak actually gets a really nice exit. Lots of lean angle, but definitely gripped up pretty well. Look at those dark clouds ahead. Please hold on for one more lap as Mattia Cassidy does fire through with the slipstream to lead as we enter the final lap. The reigning world champion just showing that he's clutching up at the last seconds. And Coney incredibly late on the brakes. This time he's not going to be able to take that wide sweeping line that Fran said about, because now he's got to attack. He's got to make a move somewhere, and where will he do it?
That's a good question. Does he have anything left in the tank to respond to Cassidy? Cassidy posted his personal best lap the last time around. He was nearly half a second faster than the number 61 on the penultimate circuit, and Zacconi now is going to be facing an attack from Garzo in third.
Yeah, all pressure on, all hands on deck. He certainly, oh, wow. Zacconi sliding the rear with his left foot off the peg there through the exit of the chicane. And this is absolutely fantastic from Mattia Cassidy. He came into this race 6 points behind in the championship chase, and he looks like he might go through it. 8 points in the lead as once again Zacconi is sideways everywhere, pushing the traction control to the limit, and he really is on him. One big opportunity is up here just at the top of the hill and then down into Scarperia. Is he going to be close enough? He's going to look to the inside surely, but no, this time Cassidy covers it off.
He's going to have a go here though, coming through out of Scarperia, not quite close enough. Cassidy manages to shut the door in his face. Great response from Zacconi here. I thought he would struggle to get back in the part on an even keel with Cassidy, but Cassidy's pulled out a couple of little bike lengths now as they come round Corantaio.
Last sector time, here we go, through Corantaio, just Biondetti 1, 2, and then the last corner, Buccini remaining, and this was where Cassidy was absolutely fantastic on the last lap, and once again, it looks like he has been brilliant through the chicane there. Cassidy, with ice in the veins, is looking like he's going to take his first victory since the very first round of the year back in Portugal. The reigning world champion, surely he's got enough of a gap in the bag ahead of the chasing Zacconi and Garzo, and it looks like he is. Cassidy wins here in race 2 in Mugello. A fantastic finish from Cassidy on the last lap to steal it from Zacconi. The 3-year wait goes on for the 61. Heartbreak here in race 2.
Absolutely, he was mugged on the final lap, but Mattia Cassidy times his victory push to absolute perfection. Another fantastic lap from him on the final circuit. 3/10 quicker he was than Zacconi, and in the end, the number 61, I think jokingly says, hey, did you have to do that right there on that final lap here at Mugello? Zacconi so close to glory. You have to feel that first victory in 3 years will be coming sooner rather than later. And some late drama. Jordi Torres, I think, crashed either through the Biondetti chicane or at Buccini, the final turn. Either way, good to see the Spaniard up and walking away.
Yeah, good signs, as you do say, Neil, but definitely not good signs for Jordi Torres in his kind of recovery in form and picking up some valuable championship points. Unfortunately, that one will end with 0 and just dust in the gravel trap. But it certainly wasn't 0 for the number 40, Mattia Casadei, a full fat 25 points. And what a 25 points that is, with Zanoni down in fourth. Actually, Zanoni got Granado on the run to the line and missed that. It picked him off by 35 thousandths of a second. So valuable points from Kevin Zanoni there. Great job salvaging that fourth on the final lap. But for Casadei, with the likes of, where did Spinelli finish? 10th in the end. Not good at all for his championship hunt. And a really big day in the championship chase for Casadei.
Yeah, it certainly is. Casadei is closest contenders in the championship. Did not have a good race one. This, of course, is race one. I have to keep reminding myself that. Race two was earlier today. But yeah, Zacconi and Garzo not quite in the title fight just yet, you would say, as intensely up at the front as the likes of Zanoni and Casadei. Zanoni will be kicking himself for that first lap, won't he, Jack? Because he was actually the fastest rider on that final circuit, as he timed that attack on Eric Granado beautifully on the run to the line, getting the Brazilian. So overall, I think Zanoni coming away here with a first and a fourth will be pretty happy with that as a day's work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've only got to look at his kind of string of results recently. First and a fourth here, first and a third in Barcelona, and then obviously that first podium of the season back in the first race in Le Mans. And you've got to say that he probably was on for another strong result in the second race back in Le Mans, but of course he had to do a long lap penalty for a shortcut that he took at turn 4. And if he didn't have that, definitely it would have been probably another top 5. So incredible consistency from Kevin Zanoni. Really strong stuff indeed, and that's why we're seeing this year he's a surprise championship contender and proving that he absolutely is worthy of that title.
Yep, I agree with that. A quick shout out as well for the rider that finished in 7th. Massimo Roccoli had a great day at the office here at Mugello, came through to 7th in that, and he'll be a little disappointed that he didn't have as good a start as race 2 earlier today, because he had podium pace on that end of race. He was pretty much running the same pace as Zacconi and Garzo, who finished obviously 2nd and 3rd. So Roccoli can take some real comfort from his performances today, and hopefully carry that into Assen next time out.
Yeah, and just 2 thousandths of a second ahead of Matteo Ferrari as well. So absolutely pipped him by the slimmest of margins right there on the final lap. Really good job from Roccoli, actually, because he was down about 10th or 11th on the first lap of the race, as we see Tatsuki Suzuki celebrating with his good mate Mattia Casadei. Quite an unlikely group of friends that they do have there as their training partners in Italy. Mattia Casadei, Tatsuki Suzuki, Enea Bastianini, even Nicolo Bulliger, they all train together, have lunch together, all of it, every single day. And yeah, Tatsuki Suzuki extremely happy for his good friend.
Every single day. Goodness me, that's what you call friendship, isn't it? You can see Luca Boscoscuro there. He's having such a great time in Moto2. Coming out to congratulate the reigning MotoE champion. That's Lucio Cecchinello as well. Team owner coming down to offer up his congratulations. Casadei, it's a bit early in the season to be saying that's a championship ride, but a great recovery weekend, you would have to say, after the disappointment of race 2 in Barcelona, when he threw a really good result away chasing Eric Granado down. He's come back with a bang here at Mugello, a 2nd and a 1st in the 2 races.
Yeah, so Barcelona, just a momentary blip, shall we say, for Mattia Casadei's form. And absolutely back on song here. There is Zacconi then. I'm sure that what he did say to Mattia on the cool down lap was maybe a few more expletives than how we passed it off. And there is Enea Bastianini actually congratulating Mattia Casadei, his good mate. So good to see some nice support from the boys. But yeah, Zacconi, and there he is giving Hervé Poncharal a big hug. I'm sure that Hervé will be saying to him, don't worry, fantastic job today.
Yeah, and there will be more good results coming for Zach, you would have to say, in the second half of the season. He's quietly and consistently got stronger as the year's gone on. Had a bit of misfortune in the first 2 rounds of the year, but certainly in Barcelona and here at Mugello, he's shown that he's one of the quickest MotoE riders in the world at the moment. What a party that would be. Casadei and Bastianini together, 2 of the most chilled guys you could hope to meet in your life.
Yeah, it would be an interesting one for sure. It certainly wouldn't be the most exhaustive party. I think, you wouldn't be going until kind of 7, 8 a.m, but maybe just some nice vibes and kind of 1, 2 a.m, knock it off and then just have a nice night's sleep.
Yeah, some Bob Marley on the speakers perhaps, and yeah, a chilled end to the evening, I think, for those two. But we're going to pass down to Hector Garzo, who managed to get a really strong third position here in race 2, and he's in Parc Fermé with Fran.
Well, Hector, that was a pretty close fight with you guys over the podium places. In the end, it's third place, but it is a podium after a bit of a crazy day here today at Mugello. Are you happy with those 16 points?
Yeah, thank you. It's a different feeling because first race was a little disaster by my side. I tried to fight it at least until the last lap, but I was suffering a little bit too much. But well, we tried something new. I focused on closing Motor, trying to finish the first lap in the top 3. I think is the target here in MotoE, to keep it the fight until the end. But well, I'm happy for me, happy for the team. They deserve for sure more of this, and well, happy to go to the holidays like this.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Good job then from Hector Garzo, his first podium since the opening round, where of course he took those 2 brilliant second places. This was about 4 laps in-ish to the race, where he got a real wobble on coming out of the long, never-ending right-handed Corontayo bend. And yeah, he was certainly riding loose. But one round that was riding very fast indeed. The second place finisher just pipped to the post by Casadei. Alessandro Zacconi is down with Fran.
Well, Alessandro, it was so close there, and you led for much of that race, but I'm sure you must be happy with the first step, podium, and at Mugello.
Yes, I'm happy, but not too much because I led all the race. Just the last 2 laps, I had a big drop with the rear tire, so I tried to change the traction control, but was not good for me, so I lost some time, I think. Yes, just Mattia passed me in the last lap, so congratulations to him. But anyway, we did a good weekend. The first pole position, second place. I'm a bit angry for the real first race because I was in the front with more than 1 second and they put a red flag. In the other races, I had many problems with overtaking. I was in the slower group, and for me it was difficult to overtake. But anyway, we finished with the podium, so we return home with a smiley.
Congratulations.
Grazie. Ciao.
Ciao to you, Alessandro. Great day at the office, even if there was a bit of frustration there. And he, well, was riding like the wind for the first half of that MotoE race. Just maybe ate up a little bit too much of that rear tyre for the final 2 laps. Spoke there off the drop, which eventually allowed Mattia Casadei back in. But 2 podiums in the last 2 races for Zacconi. Excellent stuff. But not even he could get on the level of this rider here, Mattia Casadei, a victor again in MotoE, and he's with Fran.
Well, Mattia, that last lap was something quite special, pushing like a beast, as you said before, and you're back on the top step for the first time since much earlier in the season, and the championship lead. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, unbelievable. My first win in Mugello. I'm very happy. I know that we have the potential to win, but Alessandro in the first lap go make a little gap, and was difficult to keep. But I don't give up. I push at my 100%. I come there, and first race I missed the turn point after the overtaking in turn 1, but today I do a good braking, I close, and I say, okay, now we can win.
Well, congratulations, Mattia.
Thank you.
I think that's about as emotive that you see Mattia Casadei. Obviously really happy with that race win in the end. And a fantastic
I was going to say, I think you've called the party vibe all wrong there.
I think you might be right, Fran. Yeah, maybe we were a bit hasty with saying he's the most zen, most relaxed guy in the paddock. There was quite a bit of emotion there in that Parc Fermé interview with Fran. And I think you could see just how much that took out of him as well. It's just 7 laps this MotoE race 1, but obviously filled with intensity. And, well, he saved his best for last, did Mattia, showing exactly why he is the reigning MotoE world champion.
Yeah, lovely shots as well. Just seeing him, a little fist pump to celebrate. And as we do say, that was probably about as celebratory as he will get. Not one for doing big stand-up wheelies. Oh, hopefully the pen works. Come on. I think he's just about got it to work. giving it the magic Casadei touch. And there we go then. So Mattia Casadei asserts himself back to the top of the championship standings with a fantastic win here in the second race of the day in MotoE World Championship. And you've got to say, with the likes of Spinelli faltering here this weekend, and obviously the double DNF last time out, you do now wonder if he can regroup and put in a championship charge again. But where is he now in the championship?
Yeah, he's fallen down the order to fourth, and most concerning of all, he is now 44 points back of Casadei, which is a tough situation to be in for Spinelli. 9th and 10th, certainly not the results he would have been hoping for at his home race. So he has it all to do in the second half of this season, and so difficult to know really, Jack, which way this championship will go in the final 4 rounds of the year. We've seen it go from Casadei looking like the favourite to Spinelli, Kevin Zanoni, and after today's race you would have to say Casadei once again is probably the favourite to retain his crown.
Yeah, absolutely, I'd agree with that one for sure. I mean, we obviously know that Zanoni is riding incredibly well, but there is still that unproven factor of him actually putting together a full championship charge, and we've seen Casadei obviously not only win the championship last year, but in previous seasons as well, take podiums and be very consistent up there in the top 5, top 6. So definitely proven pedigree for the reigning champion, and a question mark on whether that pedigree does extend to the likes of Zanoni, even Garzo, who's not too far behind Gutierrez in the championship chase, and of course Gutierrez himself, a disappointing round, the first disappointing round of the year. So Garzo comes out onto the podium for the first time since the very first round of the year. Congratulations to him, solid third place today in Sacconi. Happy with the second place, we definitely saw it, the big smile in the interview down there with Fran, but he'll be disappointed just a touch, because this man, Mattia Casadei, did pip him to the post on that last lap there.
Michele Cecchini then hands over the third place trophy to Hector Garzo. Well-earned podium. Great to see Hector back up there after a 2-race absence from the top 3. Paolo Betti, Ducati MotoE chief mechanic, hands over the trophy for second to Alessandro Zacconi. And the best is yet to come, because this is the trophy for the victor, Mattia Casadei. It gets no better than lifting that up above your head in front of your home fans at Mugello. And now it's time for Mattia to take in the Italian national anthem.
So for the second time today then, the Italian national anthem rings out here in Italy, one of Italian motorsports and world motorsports' most loved homes. This time they do go a little bit silly with the Prosecco, but that's absolutely what they're meant to do. And certainly after this extra long day here in MotoE, a well-deserved swig of that will go down a nice treat as well. I think Neil Morrison's also earned himself a nice beer tonight, as he's been in the comms box for a long time today, since about 8:30 this morning.
It's my second home.
It certainly is. You look well, it suits you in here. So, the final results then for the race 1, but the second race of the day here in MotoE. Mattia Casadei takes it by just over 1/4 of a second from Alessandro Zacconi, who will be happy, but also not happy. You know how it goes. Hector Garzo takes his first podium in some time, and Kevin Zanoni there pipping Eric Granado to that 4th place. Nicola Spinelli takes 10th with Oscar Gutierrez there 11th. 2 championship contenders not having the most fun of days here in Italy. We'll see if they can rebound in Assen, because that is where we go to next, and we will go there next with Mattia Casadei at 132 points and 6 points ahead of Kevin Zanoni, with now Oscar Gutierrez 35 back, Spinelli and Garzo both 44 back. So lots of work to do for some of our contenders if they do truly want to be contenders this season. Jordi Torres after that luckless crash there just on the final lap. I think that's the second time he's crashed out on the final lap this season, only on 50 points after the first 8 races, the first half of the season. And the LCR E team do extend their team's championship lead up to 26 points now over the Open Bank Aspar team, with Tech Free E Racing there in third. So that's enough for the point scenario. Hopefully we will be able to look at some highlights, and here they are.
Well, it was a typically full throttle affair with Alessandro Zacconi jumping off the grid from pole position. Hector Garzo just managed to get by on the run to San Donato. You can see Kevin Zanoni coming through from 5th on the grid. He was looking for a decent place. Mattia Casadei around the outside. It was tight. Garzo, though, managed to gain the upper hand there, but soon Alessandro Zacconi was out front and gapping the riders behind him. It was a 3-way fight for second with Garzo, Casadei and Granado contesting the second position, with Kevin Zanoni a couple of bike lengths back in 5th. Zanoni never quite able to get with them in the early laps. You can see Zacconi stretching his advantage up to about 0.6 of a second at some points in the first half of the race, although Mattia Casadei and Hector Garzo would never truly go away in second and third. Garzo almost getting underneath Casadei just there down into San Donato, but starting the final lap they managed to get him, and Casadei managed to draft by Zacconi on the run down into turn 1. Zacconi tried to respond, but Casadei just had too much in the end on the final lap to secure his second victory of 2024. He is back in control of this World Championship. That's it for MotoE for 3 weeks. We'll be back after a spring break in Assen for a double header. 2 races there, 2 races in Sachsenring. You definitely do not want to miss it. Join us then.